Hi Liga, welcome to my channel. I wanna watch today, guys. Vietnam's military, how strong is it? Let's see how strong they are. So, if you
Vietnam's
guys want more about
military
kind of
is one of
videos
the
like that,
world's
just comment down below.
largest. Data from the Global Firepower shows that Vietnam has
I
a
wanna open it,
manpower
guys, because
strength
it's new.
estimated at the Global Firepower shows that Vietnam has a manpower strength estimated at
Wow,
5,850,000 people,
that's a
out of
lot.
which 600,000 are active personnel, making it the
Oh,
seventh largest in Asia. Furthermore, the country's military
okay.
expenditure at
Seven?
purchasing power parity, estimated by the Lally Institute for
Hmm.
2022, is over 14.2 billion US
Ooh,
dollars, which is
that's a lot.
astoundingly high for a developing country. It is an expenditure double that of the Philippines, Bangladesh, and North Korea. All of these point that
Wow.
Vietnam's military is big, a formidable force that should not be faced with. However, is this even a good thing? After all, a developing nation that invests in their military just
Hmm.
means that they also miss out on investing in other sectors
Hmm.
that may be better for its citizens. Moreover, as a
Okay.
developing nation, does Vietnam's military equipment even compare to that of well-developed
Hmm.
powerhouses like India and China? To
Hmm.
understand these, let's discuss the size,
Okay.
equipment deployed, and future procurements of the Vietnam military. Let's first talk about its structure and
Hmm.
size. The Vietnam military is officially called the People's Army of Vietnam, or
Hmm.
Vietnam People's Army. It has a very long history, one that has fought several wars. The structure underlying the army is divided into four branches, namely the Vietnam People's Navy, the Vietnam People's Air Force, the Vietnam
Hmm.
Border Guard, the Vietnam Coast Guard, and the Vietnam People's Ground Forces,
Hmm.
each of which has a distinct role to play in the country's defense. Let's
Hmm.
understand each of these
Okay.
branches in more detail, starting with the Vietnam People's Ground Forces. The ground
Hmm.
forces deal with defense on the ground. They
Hmm.
deploy tanks, land
Hmm.
vehicles, self-propelled artillery, rocket
Hmm.
artillery, and
Hmm.
everything that basically touches the ground. The Global
Okay.
Firepower estimates that Vietnam has about 2,000 tanks, over 18,000 vehicles,
Wow.
180 self-propelled artillery, 700 towed artillery, and 450 rocket
Okay,
artillery.
that's a
Much of the
good.
ground forces equipment dates way back to the Soviet Union era. This
Hmm.
means their tanks are mostly old and outdated, some of which, however, are of course newly built but
Hmm.
mostly hail from Russia and sometimes from China. One of these
Hmm.
tanks is called the T-90S
Oh,
SK main battle tanks, which was recently delivered
looks
in
good.
2019. The Russian Federal
Wow.
Service for Military Technical Cooperation fulfilled a contract signed way back in 2016 to enhance Vietnam's armored capabilities. The
Okay.
T-90S MBT, known for its robust Chatora defense aid suite, was delivered in two substantial shipments. These totals to about 64 tanks, with each
Hmm.
shipment containing no fewer than 30 tanks. The Army shared that the tanks arrived equipped with Contact 5 explosive reactive armor and advanced turret mounted missile countermeasure
Wow, look at the
systems.
armor.
These modern tanks were acquired to replace the outdated Chinese Type 59 and older Soviet-era T-54 tanks. Despite the undisclosed total cost of the T-90 deal, it is estimated at around 250 million US dollars. Another tank
Wow,
is known
that's a
as the
lot, really.
T-54-55S and the Chinese-built Type 59s. While they were
Hmm.
supposed to be replaced by the T-90S MBT, it is still reported by the officials in 2021 that they had undergone an upgrade. As of 2021, they had about
Hmm.
roughly 850 T-54-55s and 350 Type
Oh,
59s. Besides tanks, they
okay.
also operate several other vehicles, one of which is called the SS-1 Scud
Hmm.
BCD. It is a
Hmm.
tactical ballistic missile that hails from the Soviet Union. It has undergone enhancement recently to improve its range accuracy.
Hmm.
According to metrics, the Scud B, R-17 Elbrus, and Scud C missiles, developed by the Soviet Union,
Bum,
have
bum,
ranges
bum,
of
bum.
approximately 300 and 500 to 600 kilometers respectively. We've discussed
Okay.
several tanks and artillery. Now let's talk about the
Bum.
Vietnam People's Navy, the other branch of the Army.
Oh.
The People's Navy holds significance due to Vietnam's long coastline. The Navy bears a huge amount of responsibility when it comes to
Wow.
defending the country. The Globe Firepower estimates that Vietnam has about 97 naval assets, 9
Whoa.
of which are frigates, 14 are corvettes, 6 are submarines, 54 are patrol vessels, and 8 are mine warfares. Let's first talk about their submarines.
Okay.
The most famous, of course, is none other than their Kilo-class submarine from from Russia, Vietnam had acquired 6 advanced Kilo-class submarines. This acquisition, part of a
Ba-da-na-na.
$2 billion agreement with Russia finalized in December
Banana.
2009, not only involves the submarines, but also training for the Vietnamese crew. The construction of these submarines was undertaken at the Admiralty Verfi shipyard in St. Petersburg, Russia, known for its long history of producing over 300 submarines and numerous other vessels. Vietnam's fleet includes submarines named after major cities and ports, such as Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, and Haiphong, reflecting their strategic importance. These Kilo-class submarines are renowned for their stealth, extensive combat range, and versatility in striking land, sea, and underwater targets. They are equipped with advanced torpedoes and cruise missiles designed for anti-shipping and anti-submarine warfare, capable of operating effectively in shallow waters. The strategic importance of these submarines is underscored by their deployment at Cam Ranh Port, a prime deep-water naval base in Vietnam. This facility not only supports the operational readiness of the submarines, but also serves as a critical naval hub due to its advantageous geographic location. They also operate the Gepard 3.9, a guided missile frigate also hailing from Russia. It was constructed by JSC Zelenovsk plant named after A.M. Gorsky for the Vietnamese Navy. They are versatile warships designed for multiple combat roles, including anti-surface, anti-air, and anti-submarine warfare. These frigates also handle mine-laying, escort duties, and the patrol of national maritime borders and exclusive economic zones. Now, besides Russia, they also have a missile corvette hailing from India. India had transferred the INS Kirpan, a Kukri-class missile corvette, to Vietnam as a gift. The decision to give the corvette was aimed at bolstering defense cooperation between the two nations. Let's now move on to talk about the Air Force, specifically the Vietnam People's Air Force. The Air Force has about 226 aircraft. 41 are fighters, 33 are attack types, 9 are transport, 41 are trainers, 3 are for special missions, and 99 are helicopters. The fighters are the most famous and vital piece of the Air Force. The Air Force operates several Sukhoi fighter jets, one of which is the Su-30 Mk2 multi-role fighter aircraft. The aircraft was developed by Sukhoi in 2002 and is manufactured by Komsomolsk-on-Amur Aircraft Production Association. The acquisition process took place way back in 2009, when a deal was inked between Rosaboron Export and Vietnam, involving the delivery of 8 Su-30 Mk2 aircraft valued at approximately $500 million to the Vietnam People's Air Force. The collaboration expanded in July 2010 when Vietnam placed an additional order for 20 fighters. The initial set of 4 aircraft was handed over in June 2011. Subsequent expansions of the agreement saw a contract for 12 more aircraft signed in August 2013. By the first half of 2016, the final pair of these advanced jets was delivered, marking the completion of this extensive procurement program. For their trainers, they have reportedly procured the Beechcraft T-6 Texan II turboprop trainer light attack aircraft from the United States in 2021. The program was reported to be the most high-profile defense procurement from the U.S. since Washington fully lifted its military embargo on the Southeast Asian country in 2016. There are also discussions about the procurement of the F-16. In late 2023, the Biden administration was reportedly in preliminary discussions with Vietnam about what could be the most significant arms deal ever between the United States and its former Cold War foe, according to sources familiar with the negotiations. This potential deal, involving the transfer of American F-16 fighter jets, marks a significant step in the strengthening ties between Washington and Hanoi and could stir tensions with China and complicate relations with Russia. However, discussions like these are still fairly new and many things can happen before then. We've discussed several branches and several equipment, but do take note that these are not all of them. What we need to discuss now is the future of the Army. Where will Vietnam's military be in the future? Well, it is quite difficult to say, but what we know so far is that they are trying to rely less on Russian arms. But there are still still some news outlets that reported Vietnam is planning to procure 12 units of Su 57 aircraft from Russia. That is obvious since Vietnam has long been a buyer of these Sukhoi aircrafts. But what
Okay.
is new is that there are now a lot of talks about defense sales from the United States to Vietnam, highlighting a shift from their previous acquisitions. But
Okay.
anyway, do let us know what
That's a good informations. Let's end, guys. If you guys don't know about Vietnam, please comment down below, guys, and take care of yourself.